My name is Skylar Brown, and I supervise the Media Center at San Quentin Rehabilitation Center. This episode of Ear Hustle contains language and content that may not be appropriate for all listeners. Discretion is advised.
Hey, Erlon.
What up, Nige?
Well, we are sitting, where are we right now?
We are in Brooklyn, hanging out. Brooklyn, New York.
And we're recording in this little bedroom.
Yes.
I think that we've recorded here a couple times now.
We have.
And we're working on one of our episodes called Catch a Kite.
Right.
And can you explain what Catch a Kite is?
Well, Catch a Kite is one of them situations where we ask our listeners if they have any questions for us to ask individuals inside. But this Catch a Kite is a little different because we've been dealing with individuals inside of prisons nationwide.
Yeah, so let's bring in Rasan New York Thomas. Hey, New York.
Hey, what's up, Nigel? What's up, Erlon?
Where are you right now?
I'm all alone, all the way in Oakland, California, ironically.
Oh, I know. You should be here, right?
Yeah, we in your hood.
Y'all got to go visit my mama for me.
Well, yes, yeah. Actually, I've never met her in person.
Nah, me neither. Yeah, you
phone.
should set that up in the future, man. I would love to meet your mom.
So we're all set up recording. You're on Zoom, and you've got your recorder set up. And can you explain actually how this particular Catch a Kite is going to work? Or did work, how we put it together?
Yeah, well, there's these new tablets that are being issued inside of prisons. And for the first time, incarcerated people have access to a kind of email system. And they also use these tablets to listen to Ear Hustle, which is so cool. So we put a call out on the tablets to see if anyone wanted to answer some Catch a Kite questions. And we heard from a whole bunch of incarcerated people from all across the country. They all wrote back. And so that's who we're going to hear from today.
Damn, we got a community, Nigel.
We do. It's very cool.
And they expected to hear from Erlon because that's the number I gave them. Like, you're going to call in to Erlon on this specific day. And they called it on those specific days and times, and they got me because Nigel and Erlon were busy.
But what I remember is we were like running around that day. I can't remember what Erlon and I were recording stuff. And every time I looked over, I could see your back hunched over on the phone. You were glued to that like 8 hours.
He had a whole little new station set up in there.
Yeah, it was the phone. It was like the phone triage station.
It was really cool. It was a lot of fun because, I mean, these were Ear Hustle fans from prisons all across the country, and they were very excited to be part of the show.
All right, then. I'm Erlon Woods.
I'm Nigel Poor.
And I'm Rasan New York Thomas, and this is Ear Hustle from PRX's Radiotopia. All right, here's the first kite we got.
Hi, I'm Gail in St. Augustine, Florida. I wanted to ask kind of a lighthearted question. Do you know of anyone who ended up in prison for kind of a funny reason? For example, my brother-in-law tried to break into a CVS pharmacy from the roof by going through the air duct system and ended up coming out of the ceiling of a Mexican restaurant next door in the kitchen, and it ended up in the newspaper, and he ended up in jail.
The first answer we got for this question came from a prison not too far from Grand Rapids, Michigan.
I'm Alvin Smith. I'm in Muskegon Correctional Facility in Michigan. Man, listen, some of the stories that I hear, man, is crazy. Like, it's a guy that's in here because he stole a horse and rode this horse bareback on the street for 2 different counties, man. And I'm talking about, this ain't no rural area, this ain't no farmland or none of that. This joker is riding this horse bareback, and he is in prison for horse theft, man. I mean, man, come on, man. They couldn't miss you. How you the only one in the world riding down the city street on a horse, man?
Ooh, he better be glad it's 2023, 2024.
Stealing a horse back in the day was
that was the death penalty.
Yeah, not a joke.
My name is Phil Spencer, and I'm calling from Chautauqua County Jail, state of New York. This one dude he was dressing up as a female to rob stores and stuff like that. But then when he got caught, so he was dressing up as a female, wearing a wig and a dress and everything. But when he got caught and brought to jail, he got stripped out. He was wearing women's panties, so we were confused. We were like, why did you have to have the panties on? It wasn't part of the disguise.
Why did they say it wasn't part of the disguise? He was method.
Hey.
He had to wear everything.
Nah, I think it was part of the disguise. He didn't want his boxer lines to show.
He was trying to be real.
Authentic. Originality.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Sophia and I'm calling from Los Angeles, California. And my question is, what is something that you've learned that you probably only learned because you were sent to prison? Thanks so much.
How to light a cigarette with 2 batteries.
This is Darrell, Washington. He's calling in from Pruntytown Correction Center in West Virginia.
I ain't gonna lie, man. I always say, I be laughing about that shit to this day. Like, if my son ever had a science project, I could teach him how to make a fire in the middle of his class, and they'll think it's the most awesome thing in the world, probably. But, like, no, I learned a lot of tricks like that in here, but I never, ever would have learned that outside of here, how to light a cigarette with 2 batteries in a foil packet from a ramen noodle.
I've learned a thing or two about how to be a better prostitute.
This here is Alexis. She called in from Pamunkey Regional Jail in Virginia. She says she's housed with a lot of women who are in on prostitution charges, and they all get together and share tips.
I've learned it's not just all, girls girls on the street at the corners in hotels. It's like high-end escort business. You can get a good chunk of money from online. The lady just gave me a bunch of websites. No, not OnlyFans. Some sites I've never even heard of. But the good things I've learned are like how to be inventive and make things out of nothing. Like how to make a cheese grater out of a peanut butter top with some nail clippers. I've learned how to cut my hair with clippers. Not the easiest thing to do, but it gets the job done.
Oh my God, Erline, look at my hair. Can you imagine cutting it with nail clippers?
I mean, I'm trying to see, how do you stay straight with nail? I mean, I know you can grab them and cut, but I'm just trying to...
You'd cut like 4 strands of hair at a time.
Well, I guess you have nothing but
Imagine
time.
trimming your beard.
No, I can't imagine that.
Precision work.
Hey, that's what you could call prison ingenuity for real, real.
You sound just like you do on the radio. That's awesome.
You only have one voice.
So my name is Owen Weiner. I go by O-Dog. I live in West Virginia, and I'm currently at the moment at North Central Regional Jail. This is like Redneckville, USA. This is the mountains of West Virginia. People always think it's like your rite of passage to go to jail and like you got more cred, but I never learned until like you actually get here that that's just a load of crap, because then life becomes way more difficult. Like in West Virginia, in these little rural white towns, you can't get a job once you have a felony on your record. It don't matter like if you had skills before, like a college education before you went in. Now you're just labeled. And so, like, everybody on the streets is all like, yeah, man, it's a rite of passage, man. You ain't a man, so, like, you've been to the jails, man. And it's like, you're like, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to get my rite of passage. But, like, then you do, and then you hit the streets again. And it's just like, now you just have to return to criminal behavior because there's nothing else for you anymore in this state.
Damn, I got nothing?
I can play cards.
Oh my God. That makes me think of so many things. I remember talking to a guy at San Quentin telling me about how in his family, coming to prison was a rite of passage. And he's like, I felt like royalty when I got to prison. Like that was his goal.
Yeah, I think certain for certain races it is. You know, and I don't want to misspeak, but I remember for the Mexican population, it was like a rite of passage. But yeah, me personally, I never wanted to go to prison.
Yeah.
What is something I learned, man, that I only learned because I came to prison, man?
This next answer comes from Chris Blackwell. He's incarcerated at Washington Correctional Center in Washington State.
That I had value, that I was smart enough to go to school, that I was smart enough to get a college degree, and that these things could have been obtained on the streets if I would have slowed down. Prison brought out for me, you know, what my potential was and my confidence and self-esteem.
So what was one of the things you learned in New York?
Ooh. Podcasting.
Good answer.
I can tell you mine was a little deeper. Mine was racism.
Huh.
I learned it. I mean, we heard about it. I seen it. You know what I'm saying? I seen it firsthand. You know? So that's what I learned when I went to prison. First thing I learned.
Do you know what I learned?
What's that?
How to make a penis towel.
How to make a penis towel.
Drew and AR taught me how to make a penis towel.
Yes, they did. And we have video of that shit, too.
Yes. So we've got the learn a new job, learn something very intense, and learn sort of a lightweight thing.
It's a trip because Nigel learned these little penis towel situations everywhere we go.
Yes, this is John Nuanez from Los Angeles, California. As someone who has become blind over the years, I'm very curious about how prisons deal in accommodations for disabled people. Obviously, especially the blind, which I'm concerned about, but anyone who's disabled and has special needs, how do the prisons accommodate them? I think it'd be very interesting to find out. Also, brief descriptions of the people, if they're willing to be described, would be helpful to those of us listening. I would love to know what Earl Hunt and Nigel look like, too. All right. Thanks so much. Long-time listener. Love this show.
All right. You want to go first?
Sure. How can I describe Nigel for the seeing impaired? I would say that she is of Caucasian descent. She weighs probably 130. She wears nice glasses, and they're like stylish glasses. She has long brunette type hair with a silver streak in the middle of it to the left. So it's a nice streak. She is about 5'7".
Try 10.
Oh, excuse me. She's about 5'10". And she's always smiling.
Oh, that's so nice. Okay, let me try to describe you. So, do you mind if I use candy to describe the color of your skin?
Sure.
Like kind of the outside of a Snickers bar. So kind of like a nice soft brown.
Like cocoa chocolate?
Yeah, like cocoa chocolates. You have like high cheekbones, so your face is really defined by that. Uh-huh. And then what I notice about your eyes is that sometimes your eyes look like you're 10 years old, and sometimes they look like a grown man. Oh. So meaning that your eyes are very expressive. And you have a full mouth that's covered by, usually covered by a pretty full beard. And it's pretty like a straight across mouth, but then when you smile, like your whole face really lights up.
You're good in descriptions.
And you're a big guy. Solid guy. You got very muscular arms. And you have for someone who's big, you have kind of like a soft presence.
Okay. That'll work.
Okay. You got that, John? And your question was about accommodations for disabled people in prison? We gave this one to Alvin Smith. He's the same guy who told us about the horse thief.
It was this guy in here who was literally legally blind. And they gave him these glasses that have like little binoculars coming off the lenses. he still couldn't see much. So what they did was they assigned him an aide who basically stick his elbow out, and dude grab his elbow, and he lead him around the facility.
I mean, at San Quentin, you will see some of the guys in these fluorescent yellow jackets or vests. That's, usually to say vision impaired or,
the mobility impaired.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
seeing more and more of those.
Yeah, population getting older. And then you also got the gold coats who pretty much look after those individuals.
Right. I think that's like even an assigned job there,
Yeah,
right?
it's IDAP workers.
And New York, I think you've got some special insight into this issue. You want to tell listeners about the documentary you just released?
Yeah, Friendly Signs it's about Tommy Wicker, incarcerated man's determination to make San Quentin a safe and inclusive space for deaf people by teaching everybody sign language and getting a sign language class started.
Can you remember how to do ear hustle?
Oh, wait, let me see. Ear hustle. Yeah, ear hustle.
Is that right?
Yeah, do you remember?
I think I'm just going, boop.
Oh, sorry. I can't see you.
Oh. This is going to work really well in audio.
Hi, Ear Hustle. This is Cameron from Boston, Massachusetts. And I'm just staring at my Taylor Swift friendship bracelets. And I'm wondering what trends from the outside make it to the inside? And are there any trends that you notice that start on the inside and make its way out? Thanks.
I asked Darrell Washington in West Virginia to take this one.
What's some kind of trend that made it to the streets from prison?
The whole shebang, potato chips. Man, we got them in all the corner stores now in the hood. And that's directly related from the jail culture, people coming home, and the demand for whole shebang potato chips.
Wait a minute. We did a whole episode about the whole shebang potato chip.
And this guy is saying that they're available in stores out on the streets now?
Amazing, right?
I haven't seen it. I don't think I've seen the whole shebang
Road trip
in stores.
food.
So now you can go in a gas station and a corner store in the hood, and they got whole shebang potato chips on the rack. That's just one thing that stands out to me the most.
This guy had another prison-based trend to tell us about, too.
That whole busting the sag pants all below your ass, I think that came from jail for two different reasons. First of all, the officers, when they give us uniforms, they wasn't our size, and so they was falling off of us, and they didn't care.
Okay, before we go any further, New York, Erlon, will you confirm that sagging comes from prison or not? Is that a myth?
I have heard that they didn't give individuals with belts. That's what it was. They didn't give individual belts. So the dudes that were in prison, when they got out, they were sagging in the hoods, and that's where individuals picked up that from.
That's where. So
that's
you
what I
agree.
heard.
Okay.
I'm not certain, but
okay.
I did hear that.
And what do you think, New York?
I have no idea. I do know that when you're going through certain prison processes, they give you whatever size they give you. So you might end up with something too big, something too small. But this guy, Darrell, says that it's not all about the saggy look inside prison anymore. Now they like to be fitted up in there.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing that fitted clothes stuff now, you know what I mean?
You know what I like about this guy? He is saying fitted and not skinny, because this was always the argument. Fitted is fine.
Yeah,
it's tailored. It shows you off.
So I think the difference is, like, say, for instance, fitted is just like you just got on some clothes that don't have as much room. Skinny is like you got on leotards.
Okay,
Seriously,
fair enough.
like,
but there's nothing wrong with fitted.
There's nothing wrong with fitted, but skinny is literally yoga pants on dudes.
It's not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
But I do like fitted.
And then they be sagging in them. That's the crazy part.
Sagging skinny?
Sagging in the skinnies.
Sagging in the skinnies.
It's like...
That does look a little odd to
and
me.
the pants can't fall off because they own the...
New York, where do you fall on this? I think you're a fitted guy.
I'm a bag. You know, baggy's back, so I'm baggy. I'm ready. I came home just in time.
Erlon has some fitted pants. The white ones that kind of are distressed. They're pretty fitted.
I mean, I have both, you know, but fitted is you know, sometimes they fitted because I've gained weight, Nigel.
You brought that up, not me.
They started out as cool,
Okay, so the other part of this question was about trends that started outside prison and made their way in.
They got air fryers in here, bro, and toasters in this prison, bro, and it's a maximum prison.
What?
Bro, oh God, bro, listen. I ain't never been to a maximum prison, homeboy, where they got air fryers and toasters on the yard, my boy. You know what I mean?
So air fryers is hot out here. That's a trend that's out here. And when I came home and cooked with that air fryer, it changed my life because it got me making like quick meals that are gourmet meals that are delicious. And so your air fryers made it into the prison, bro?
Bro, here in West Virginia, bro, they got, like, bro, because I've been in segregation since I've been here, you know what I mean? I get out of segregation in February coming up, and, bro, people back here, they've been telling me, bro, they got air fryers out there, bro, they got toasters out there on the dorms and everything. I'm like, what? You know how many egg rolls and tamales and all types of shit I'm about to make?
Now, I understand tamales. I've seen tamales made in prison. But egg roll, they done got designer up in that joint.
Yeah, this guy's half Cambodian, half Mexican, and he's mixing his cultures.
Because I told you, I can cook, you hear me? And, like, out here, not a lot of people, they never had authentic Mexican food or Asian food, you feel me? Like, a lot of these people are like, bro, like, oh, we had Taco Bell or Hacienda or fucking, you know what I'm saying? Some off-brand taco shit. But I was like, man, hold up. So y'all never had no real Mexican or Asian food out here like that? They're like, hell no. Nah.
I got a confession about air fryers, too.
What?
When I got my hands on that air fryer, and it was so convenient, and it did the job, I stopped cooking.
So it made you lazy?
What does that mean?
It just took the cooking aspect, the cooking experience out.
Oh.
It became too convenient.
What is a trend that hit the prison system from the streets? And what is a trend that hit the streets from the prison system?
They got some shit in here called K2. And the cats call it Tochi.
Once again, here's Alvin from Michigan.
And, man, it ain't nothing to see a guy naked running up the hall screaming and yelling, man. Just in a complete psychotic break. It ain't cool at all. And I'm telling you, when you see a grown man, like, screaming and hollering help and, like he's running from the devil himself, the level of fear, every one of them exhibit that. But then when they come down off of this stuff, they have no recollection of none of this. Whoever made it is a genius because it doesn't allow them to remember what they were running from when they come off of it. Because if they did, they would never go back to that shit.
Man, that sounds like some scary shit. I'm glad I wasn't in prison when that was going around.
Yeah, I've actually seen guys on that stuff, and it is scary. Naj E, we got one more kite for you after the break.
Cool.
Hi, my name's Erica, and I'm calling from Summerville, Massachusetts. My question is about how much prisoners actually tell their family what's really going on inside. My dad, who passed away last year, was incarcerated for 6.5 years, and I'm wondering how much of the story I don't really know and how much they do to protect us and their families on the outside. Love the show. Thanks so much.
I tell my mom everything that's going on. I tell my mother everything. You know, she's been my best friend my whole life.
That was Damian Gabriel in Neuse Correctional Institution in Goldsboro, North Carolina. And here's Alvin Smith again.
Well, we don't really tell our families everything, man, because a lot of times what we're doing is when we reach out is to escape and get away from what's really going on in here, you know. So a lot of that stuff, we keep it to ourselves or just bury it, push it to a side. And then you don't want to give them no extra cause to be worried and stressed out about this thing that, and a lot of times we brought on ourselves anyway. So we don't really want to include them in all that, man.
Man, that not a lot, as you know, man.
This is Chris again, up in Washington State.
Because you don't want to stress your loved ones out, man. They're already stressing. They're already dealing with everything that's coming their way by being connected to the carceral systems. I remember a time recently, man, I'd been in a situation where I'd almost got into an altercation with somebody, man. And, thankfully I'd used skills I had learned, man, to make that not happen. But I didn't tell my wife about it. And, a long time later, and she was joking around and said, "Oh, when's the last time you even almost got into a fight? You don't even almost get into fights." And I said, "Actually, it wasn't that about a year ago, man." And she was like, "What?" She got a little mad at me a little bit, but what I try to tell her is like, man, I don't want to tell you those things and stress you out because I've learned how to navigate that. But I don't want to let you know that that's the life of prison, right?
What am I hiding from my family that goes on in prison?
And here's Krista. She's incarcerated at Leath Correctional Institution in Greenwood, South Carolina.
I guess I would say, like, for myself, my sexual orientation, like, as far as being with a woman.
Are you what they call gay for the stay, or you got something you need to tell your parents forever?
Well, it's kind of hard. Well, for me, I'm not sure if I'm gay for the stay because I've been incarcerated since I was 16. So for me, this is almost like it's become like a lifestyle. So I'm unsure about how I will go about things in the future when I'm released.
Well, how do you think your parents would take it when you tell them?
I feel like my dad would be, I feel like he would be there for me, but I feel like my mom, she would just disown me from the jump. I feel like if I tell her that, she's just gonna just wash her hands with me.
Okay, last guy up. Brandon Murphy in Montana State Prison.
What is something that goes on in prison that you hide from your family? Is there anything that you hide from your family that you don't tell them?
Well, that'd probably be getting a new tattoo. I'll try not to tell my mom, I'm getting a tattoo.
Why do you hide these things from her?
Because I'm still her baby at the end of the day. I'm still a little kid, trying to get away with something. At the end of the day, she's going to look down at me and I'm going to feel bad.
How old are you?
I'm 34.
You're still her baby?
Yeah, I'm still my mama's baby. I'm always going to be my mom's baby. You already know.
All right. How many tattoos do you have that she doesn't know about yet until this episode comes out?
Oh, man, I'm covered. I got a T-shirt. I got a sleeve. And I'm covered. She doesn't even know about it.
What is she going to say when you finally come home and she sees you have this T-shirt worth of tattoos that you've been hiding under your shirt?
She's probably going to refer to the Bible and say, your body is your temple, and, something like that. And I'm going to be like, but Jesus forgives,
Well, Erlon, I hope Jesus forgives that mama's boy. We seem to meet a lot of mama's boys in prison.
Everybody's a mama boy. Doesn't matter what prison or what state you're in.
Yeah, it is so cool how these new tablets are opening things up. I mean, we heard from people in North Carolina, West Virginia, New York, South Carolina. I think there was even Montana.
I wonder if those southern prisons, Neuse and
Pamunkey. I know, those names really stuck with me.
Well, I hope we can keep this up, Naj.
Me too, and find some other cool ways that we can interact with these tablets.
Yes.
It's fantastic. And New York, thanks so much. I mean, every time I looked over there, you were hunched over your phone. I hope your posture survived this episode.
Yeah, it was fun and worth it to include so many other voices.
My name is Krista McDaniel, and right now I'm just reading a book I got called Freeze and Toya. Ear Hustle is produced by Nigel Poor, Erlon Woods, Amy Standen, Bruce Wallace, and Rasan New York Thomas. Shumnun Sigmund is a managing producer. The producing team inside San Quentin includes Darrell Sadiq Davis, Tony de Trinidad, and Tom Wynn. The inside managing producer is Tony Tafoya, and our inside sound designer is Rashid Zinneman. Thanks to Acting Warden Andez at San Quentin and Acting Warden Parker and Lieutenant Newborg at the California Institution for Women for their support of the show. Thanks also to this woman here.
I am Lieutenant Giamari Berry, and I serve as the Public Information Officer here at San Quentin Rehabilitation Center, and I approve this episode.
This episode was made possible by the Just Trust, working to amplify the voices, vision, and power of communities that are transforming the justice system. For more information about this episode, check out the show notes on Ear Hustle's website, earhustlesq.com. You can also find out more about the show on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Ear Hustle SQ.
Special thanks to Alvin, Silk, Darrell, Alexis, Owen, Damian, Chris, Krista, and Brandon for calling in from prisons and jails across the country to be part of this special episode. Thank you so much.
And to John and Megan at Adovo for all their behind-the-scenes help to make this possible.
Erlon Woods sound designs and engineers the show with help from Fernando Arruda and Harry Culhane.
Music for this episode comes from Antoine Banks-Williams.
Want more Ear Hustle? Subscribe to Ear Hustle Plus.
We've got bonus episodes and live chats where we get to chop it up with listeners about the show. Subscribe at earhustlesq.com/plus or in the Apple Podcast app.
And don't forget to sign up for our newsletter, The Lowdown. This week, our pal inside San Quentin, Tommy Wicker, explains how to say ear hustle in American Sign Language.
And remember that guy, Darrell Washington, talking about how in prison he learned how to start a fire with 2 batteries in the top ramen noodle?
Yes.
Well, we're going to give it a shot. So check out The Lowdown to see how it goes.
Erlon, I'm very excited about that.
The noodle pack.
Subscribe at earhustlesq.com/newsletter. And while you're at it, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That's a big help to the show, and we really appreciate it.
And you can also subscribe to Ear Hustle on Spotify and iHeartRadio.
That's true.
We got one of those awards, remember?
Yes, we did.
Little heart.
Ear Hustle is a proud member of Radiotopia from PRX, a network of independent, creator-owned, listener-supported podcasts.
Discover audio with vision at radiotopia.fm.
I'm Nigel Poor.
And I'm Erlonius Woods. Thanks for listening.
Radiotopia from